It's time for another Rookie Watch, everybody. Got to discuss it. Cooper Flagg coming to town, the first time that we get the chance to see here in Philadelphia. The number one overall pick, the man that many people selected as the Rookie of the Year preseason, and he has really turned things up. He has played all 27 games for the Dallas Mavericks, averaging 18.6 points per game to technically lead them in scoring based on games played. Anthony Davis is at 19.6, 6.4 rebounds, 3.6 assists. The Mavericks are 11-17, but Derik, after a slow start, he has really started to play well.
No, he's really started to play well. Over his last 8 games, where the Mavs are 6-2, so they're starting to play better as a team as well. But over the last 8 games, Cooper Flagg is averaging 25.4 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 3.6 assists per game. He is really, we've talked about this time and time again, but last year you could see him sort of feeling out the level of competition early on in the season, and then as the year went on, he just became one of the most dominant forces in the league, despite being one of the youngest players in all of college basketball at that time. And you could just see him pick the game up really quickly. And you're seeing that a lot this year as well. And what's intriguing is you're seeing that a lot, and he's really not even attempting, much less making threes yet. Like, he just does not have three-point range. Shooting ball pretty well from mid-range, and he's got that pull-up game, and that's what's allowed him to be a pretty high-usage player right from the jump. At this point, he is shooting 51% on short mid-range jumpers, so that's between 4 and 14 feet of the basket, and 38% on long mid-range jumpers, which for an 18-year-old kid is really good. He obviously had that massive game the other day against the Jazz, setting a record away from LeBron James as most points scored by an 18-year-old. He is starting to put a ton of it together. Yeah. And it is, I think a lot of people, when he first came out, and he was being asked to run the offense for the Mavs, and the Mavs as a team stunk, especially offensively, people might have come to some pretty early conclusions. And I think with Cooper Flagg, with players generally, but Cooper Flagg specifically, never do that, because he's now 2 years in a row where he's taken a little bit of time to adjust to that level of competition and then very quickly turned it around and became a real force. I'm really interested to see whether or not he's able to sustain this, whether or not he hits a rookie wall, whether he starts showing a little more promise on extending that jump shot out from the 14, 15, 16 feet range out the three-point line. Because if he does that, he's got a real diversified game. You're starting to see a lot of playmaking coming from him. I think he's doing a good job setting up his teammates. He's a pretty good two-way player right from the jump. Obviously, this isn't breaking any new ground when you're talking about the consensus number one overall pick, but he has a ton of upside still to tap into.
No, he really does. Good to see it in their last win, the last game that they played, a win, 116-114 over the Eastern Conference leading Detroit Pistons, and it was at home. He had a double-double in that game as well with 10 rebounds, including the 23 points that he had over that Detroit Pistons team, which is a tough basketball team. Nice to see him putting things together. Nice to see Jason Kidd and company allow Ryan Nembhard, another rookie, to actually run the point guard. Yeah. So he can do the other things that Cooper Flagg does not need to be doing in running the basketball team. Cooper Flagg's been tremendous to see how he has turned things up. Let's see what he does against VJ Edgecombe and the Philadelphia 76ers tonight as they face the Sixers in front of the home crowd for the first time this season. All right, let's get to another rookie that we talked a ton about in the NBA draft run-up, and we were discussing so many different players. We have already talked about him here on the Rookie Watch, but we have to do it again because he just continues to play really well, and that is one Derik Queen. Queen is now up to, on the season, 28 games played, 16 of which he has started, and here are his averages: 12.8 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, 4.4 assists, and also a steal and right around a block a game. He had a bust-out game with a triple-double a few games back, and he has just simply looked more and more comfortable. By the way, that triple-double was against the San Antonio Spurs, and he also scared the heck out of the Denver Nuggets a few weeks ago when Jokic wasn't playing, and then he said, I need to turn it up because this kid is doing some things against us. But Derik Queen, man, a lot of teams passed on him, and they might be regretting it.
Yeah. No, and he was one that was, I think, a little bit tough for a lot of people to scout because you didn't know whether or not he could protect the rim. You didn't know how much he was going to, you didn't know how much his average athletic tools were going to factor into his ability to translate to the next level. And quite frankly, I had a lot of concerns. But he has shown you over the last couple of weeks specifically, like he's averaging, I think, like 15, 8, and 6 over his last like 15 or so games. He's really coming into his own as a playmaker. He's had a couple of monster scoring nights, 33 against the Spurs. He's got 30 against the Nuggets that you referenced earlier. He's just finding different ways to contribute almost every night. And look, this was a franchise that obviously invested a lot in trying to get him. Yeah. And I still think the trade itself is well, no, the haul is fine, but the giving up the unprotected pick, I think, was avoidable. I think they could have gotten that pick for less than they ended up.
That's where it stinks because he gets bottled in the whole thing when the player, you had the right idea.
Yes, the execution was maybe a little bit off. Yes, but he can't control any of that, and it was one of those where, like, if you could have just gotten like a top 10 protected pick, I don't think anybody would be, batting an eye at it. But because you gave up unprotected, and because a lot of people feel like you didn't need to give up an unprotected pick, that trade is going to be panned, and rightfully so, even if the draft pick itself ends up working out. And I certainly think when you're talking about this class and one of the players who has shown the most, and certainly when you talk about a non-top 10 pick who is showing the most promise, I think they got that right, and they deserve a lot of credit for that.
Right.
Just, maybe next time try to attach some protections to that, but still.
Maybe.
Derik Queen is, I think, having a much bigger rookie season than most people expected. He's showing you that diversified skill set he had in college. He's showing you the ability to run a lot of offense through him, not just as a scorer, but as a playmaker and as a hub, and it has been very fun to watch.
Pelicans have won their last 3 games, by the way. They're competitive. They're really competitive. Some games may get away at the end, but they are in them, and they're making these other teams work. Let's go to his teammate, Jeremiah Fears. He was drafted a little bit earlier than he was in the lottery. Jeremiah Fears has played in 28 games for the Pelicans, averaging 27 minutes on the night, 15, 3 and 3 overall with 1.4 steals. And he is shooting 36%. So it's getting better from the 3-point line for Jeremiah Fears. You know how much I love this kid coming out of college. And I'm glad that they have given him the car keys to let him run, to make the mistakes like point guards need to do, make mistakes. James Borrego has given them that runway, and he has taken it, and it is his. Yeah,
I think you and I were both. I think we both had him in top 10, right?
Yes, we did.
And now he ended up going 7, so it doesn't exactly look like we were out on a ledge. But I think at that time before the draft, I don't think it certainly wasn't a unanimous top 10 pick.
No,
I think there was a lot of concern over whether a smaller guard would be able to succeed as a high usage scorer. And it just, when you watched him play, his ability to get to his spots off the dribble and get all the way to the rim was one of the stronger skill sets in that class. And he certainly had a lot that he had to overcome, from the physicality to the 3-point shot. And some of that still needs a little bit of work. I do agree that 3-point shot is, I think, it's translated a little better and a little quicker than maybe I would have expected. We'll see whether or not he can carry that throughout the year. But fundamentally, his ability to get to his spots, to get to the rim, I think as he physically matures, hopefully when he physically matures, his ability to get to the free throw line, those are things that are really tough to teach, and things that are really tough end up putting a lot of pressure on the defense, end up forcing a lot of rotations. And I think every other projection you make, whether it's his playmaking, whether it's filling out his frame, are things that I'm relatively confident projecting, especially if that shot ends up being legitimate. He has been fun to watch. I think I do give them a lot of credit, because that's a kid who, he was real young. Like, he just turned 19 in October.
Yeah.
I think a lot of franchises, even if they have a lot invested in him as a 7th overall pick, not everyone gives him the keys right from the jump. So I give them credit for that. I think probably earlier on in the season, there was, even though he was playing well individually, they were losing all those games. Maybe some people might have questioned it. He is picking things up quickly, and I think that is going to be another good pick too.
Nice to see. 2 cornerstones for them going forward. They're not a good basketball team right now, but when you have those 2 types of players, we'll see if Trey Murphy is there long term and how all of that plays out. But those 2, Queen and Fears, really good for the Pelicans. Last one here, Derik, on Rookie Watch. Just going to do 4 here today, everybody. Let's go to Dylan Harper of the San Antonio Spurs, the 2nd overall pick, because just looking at the things that he has done, you just talked about Fears' 3-point shooting, and on the season right now, I am looking at it where he is shooting 30%.
Yep.
But what really has caught my eye was the last 3 games.
Yep.
He was 1 for 5. I'm just saying he took 5. 5 for 7 against New York in the Cup championship game, and then 3 for 5 against Washington in the first game after the Cup. Did not take any threes against the Atlanta Hawks in their Friday night win.
Yep.
But watching that Knicks game and watching him take those shots, there was no hesitation. And once he made that first one, he knew he can make whatever else came thereafter.
Yeah, and I think early on in his career, the perimeter shot, it's going to be a lot based on confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he's confident, he's probably going to pull up quickly. When he pulls up quickly, he's going to have more space and it's going to lead to more success. I think he's probably going to be streaky throughout the year. Like I'm not 100% believer in that shot right now. Off the dribble, mid-range, yeah, I think he can get to his spots and make those shots. But I mean, when you start talking about Dylan Harper, it starts and ends with his ability to get to the rim, which has translated in an incredible way.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he's mostly below the rim finisher. He is 55% of his shot attempts are at the rim right now. That ranks in the 98th percentile across the league. And you're talking about that for a 20-year-old guard who, like I said, is a mostly below the rim player. A 19-year-old
He's not even
guard.
20 yet. He doesn't turn 20 until March.
My apologies.
Yeah.
This is something that usually takes a little bit of time, and especially on a player who doesn't have that pull-up shot as a real threat right now. Certainly not from three-point range. He has to get a little bit more creative to get to his spots, and he has that creativity. He's always had that creativity, that balance, that body control. For him to translate that skill right from day one is really, really impressive. And I do hope that he puts in the work, I think he will, to extend that pull-up jumper out to three-point range, because if he ever does that, especially playing alongside of Wemby, there are going to be driving lanes for days.
He's a special player. You could see it. He's not starting right now because he does have Fox and Castle in front of them. But coming off that bench, you could see where they have identified his role. Their head coach, Johnson, is doing a really good job of making sure he gets the amount of minutes that he needs. He's playing some really good minutes while he's out there. He's averaging close to 14 points on every night and 3 rebounds, 3 assists out there on the floor, again, as a rookie coming off the bench and playing a decent amount of minutes on average of 26 minutes per night for Dylan Harper. Fantastic player and fantastic rookie class that we continue to talk about from the 2025 class. This class could very well be a special one when it's all said and done. And that's why we have been doing Rookie Watch here on the PHLY Sixers Podcast. If you like our Rookie Watch and our shows in general, hit the like button. Make sure you like and subscribe to PHLY overall as a network, and come to our shows when we do. And when you do so, you hit the bell icon to alert you for showtime. It'll sound like that when it's time for any content from our PHLY Sixers Podcast. That'll do it for Rookie Watch. We'll catch up. But before that, Sixers, VJ Edgecombe, they host Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks tonight. Let's see what happens between the two top 3 picks, man. The number 1 and the number 3 going at it. Sixers on the second night of a back-to-back. Yes, Dallas has a little bit of a rest, but I think a lot of people are going to be wondering what's going to happen between VJ Edgecombe and Cooper Flagg in that one.
They are 2 players who don't mind talking a little bit of trash. I think VJ specifically has dialed that back a little bit here.
Yeah.
Once he's gotten to the NBA, talked a little bit in the summer league, but certainly talked a little bit
Well,
in college and during his high school career
that's
too.
a familiar face.
Including to Cooper. I am hoping for some fireworks tomorrow.
So we'll catch you next time on the PHLY Sixers Podcast. For us collectively here, have a great holiday. Happy holidays to you. We'll catch up with you on our next Rookie Watch here on the Sixers Podcast.